So we're live.
Yay! How
There we
is
go.
everybody today? Woo, it's freezing cold here in good
Freezing
old
cold.
Calgary, Alberta area.
Yep.
This is weather that we haven't had for a long day.
It's been a few years for sure to have this much snow
Oh,
at
this cold.
time of year.
Yes.
And this cold.
Yes.
Yeah. Poor Carrie. I was working at home for a little bit in the morning.
Yeah.
She shoveled her face off.
Mm-hmm.
Her face off yesterday
Mhm.
because there was so very much snow. But it was a workout, right? You loved it.
Oh, I had his a workout, and thank goodness hubby was on the old skid steer doing all the roads. But we have so much, like we actually have tobogganing hills.
Yeah, just from the drifts alone.
Yeah.
So, yeah, always good times. I'm sure there's many people out there who can also share their weather stories at this time of year because I think it's not just us at the end of the day.
No.
So welcome. We're going kind of back to basics a little bit. So good morning, Brittany. For those of you who have followed us for a while, this might just be a good kind of revamp on what it is that we do all in all, because we're going to be talking about what is equine assisted learning. What is it all in the first place? What's it all about? Why do we do what we do? What this horses thing? I don't understand. That's what we're going to be solving today as well.
Yeah, it's really interesting because over 15 years ago when I started, well, maybe 16 years ago when I started looking into it, nobody knew really what it was. It was just really coming in. It had been around for, I think, a couple of years before that, but nobody understood it. And it was the toughest thing to help people understand what is it that we do and how can we help you as a human with horses, like seriously.
And I see we got a few other people going on already. We got Mike says to come down. It's warm in Las Cruces.
Oh, yeah. I went to
salt in the wounds there, Mikey.
Yep.
Dana's on. Good morning, Dana. Just headed to the barn to play with the horses. Brittany too. Good. That's a good start to a day right there. It's going out to play with the pony ponies.
Absolutely.
So just before we get into the regular old rigmarole first before we get started. And as a few people have been doing already, throw in who you are, where you're from. We always like to know who we're talking to. And we like the interaction, people.
Yes.
We do. We get bored with ourselves talking.
Yeah,
really is what it is. If we don't have some feedback, we love the feedback. So give it to us. All right. This first piece is that hashtag
Holy Jumpin' Tuna Fish.
That was the first time in a while we've done that really
well
together.
I know.
But Holy Jumpin' Tuna Fish is if you hear something today that kind of knocks your socks off, or you think, wow, I haven't thought of it that way before. You're like, oh my gosh, that's what equine assisted learning is. Throw in that hashtag for us because then we know what's teaching you something new or what you're liking to hear as well. And then we can keep doing it. Of course, share this out because sharing is in fact, it's caring. It's caring, everybody. Sharing is caring. And there needs to be a little bit more caring in this world, I believe.
And kindness.
But maybe you know somebody in your life that also works with horses or has always had a passion to work with horses. This might be a really good live for them to watch. So share this baby out.
Well, and you don't know what you don't know until you do. And here's the thing. I remember when I was before equine assisted learning, I was wondering in my entrepreneurial brain, what exists working with horses that's not your norm, like not riding, not tack or not feed, like what is there out there? Because I didn't know that any such thing even existed. So I love that it took me forever to get to that place, because then when I'm like, what? The horse is the teacher. So yeah, you might know your granddaughter, your daughter, your sister, who too is looking for something to do with horses, some purposeful piece, but they just didn't know it existed before.
That's true. And good morning to, I guess, I don't know if it's morning for you there, Marie, in Wakatane.
Oh, New Zealand. We love New Zealand.
If I said that wrong, feel free to type it in phonetically for me.
Yes.
I apologize in advance. And then, of course, the next hashtag we always like to talk about is that we are life changers. And that's not just us right here. That is you. That is your horses. That is everyone on this planet has the opportunity to positively impact a life every single day that we live and breathe and to change somebody else's life. You really don't know what smile, what kind word, because it really does boil down to kindness.
It always does.
But what's it going to be that changes somebody's life that day? Even for just a moment, you want to be the person that's going to change somebody's life for the positive as well.
And every human on this earth, every living being, we all have purpose. It's just sometimes we struggle with what's our real purpose? Like, why are we here? What are we supposed to do? And the number one thing is in purpose, it's to help another human being. And for these animals, they help us always. A dog, a cat, a horse, a chicken. I remember going to Texas. We stayed at a little Airbnb And she had chickens everywhere. Like, and I was scared of chickens before. I mean, I eat the chicken, but I never
Chicken
had
don't
play
talk
with
back.
them. That's
Yeah.
right. But she had such a variety of different chickens. Like, we actually ended up loving all of her little chicken friends. Like, it was so much fun. So they too have purpose in what it was that they did for us.
That's very true. There was
Yeah.
actually lots of chickens at Marianne's place just
Oh,
outside Boston.
interesting.
There too, but they charge me a little bit. So birds freak me out a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. We've got Kristen from Conroe, Texas as well. Welcome, welcome. Mike says Equine Assisted Learning. Well, it's truly what the entire world needs, doggone it.
Isn't that
because we
truth?
are life changers.
Yep.
Very nice. And then, of course, if anybody's watching this afterwards, catch us on replay, throw in that hashtag replay for us too, so we can come back and say hello, because we like to give everybody a little bit of a shout out while they are here.
Exactly.
Feels like a more personalized experience, if you will.
You bet.
Yeah. So next piece.
Yeah, I was just going to say, aren't we going to introduce ourselves?
I was so close to forgetting it.
Yeah, she was
This
again.
is going to be backwards again.
I know.
Yeah, there it is. All right. So my name is Carolyn Charles. I am the what am I? Director of Sales and Marketing, as well as an instructor and facilitator for the Equine Connection, the Academy of Equine Assisted Learning, Inc.
Hi, everyone. My name is, that's right, Carrie Fulmack, and I am the founder and master instructor for the Equine Connection, helping people globally around the world do what it is, what we do. And that is the greatest job on living earth. That is the most purposeful, humbling, but beautiful way to live your life. Working with horses, smelling them every day. Always the welfare of the horse comes first in our certification, but helping humans with our objectively driven programs to help themselves to be empowered with the decisions that they make. They are the solvers of their own life, but it's through the horse. Literally, we allow the horse to teach, literally allow the horse to teach, so the humans can actually come up with their own decisions and become empowered with those, and then they can carry them out into their own life. That's the best part with the equine assisted, objectively driven programs, is they literally take the learning from the arena and apply it to their life, because it's so powerful when the horse tells them something versus a human telling them something. But every day, like 15 years, I still wake up and I'm like, whoa, I can't believe I get to do this for a living. Like, how many people get to work with horses to help humans all the time, right?
Well, even what you were saying before about not even know it's something that existed.
No, I didn't have a clue.
Even the non-horse person, when I started, I really had no idea that anything like this could exist. And it's amazing what doors it has opened for myself as a person, for filling our bucket every single day we live and breathe by being able to offer these programs. And that's one thing too, I think is always a good thing to bring up for people, is this certification, running equine assisted learning programs, ends up being just as much for you as it is for every single client that you bring into your arena, because it fills your bucket when you can do something good and help someone, and you read what their horse taught them at the end, and it's like mind blowing, and you're like, this is the best day ever, every day.
It is. And I remember that email you had shown me today, because it's really not about us humans making the most money that we possibly can on earth. That does not bring it doesn't bring joy to our lives. It's nice to have money, and it's nice when we're all involved in horses, because we all know how darn expensive these magnificent creatures are. But it's so beautiful when you can bring it into a business, because then all that money you're already spending just goes into those write-offs, those government tax write-offs, those expenses, and you get to carry those losses forward, because if you think about it, if you add up how much we spend on a horse a year, that would be a loss if we didn't have a business. But because you're in a business, now it's a write-off, and that's the exciting piece, because our governments work with us for those who want to be self-employed.
Yep, absolutely. And it's funny though, because how many people think that you're rich because you have a horse,
right?
Horse might be why you're not rich, more so than the other way around.
Totally. And I remember getting into this business too. And of course, I have 3 daughters. And one thing I always vowed, because I was in the hole a lot with having the horses, is I vowed, no matter what I do in this lifetime, I will go deep, deep in debt that horses are always around for my daughters, because I really found that, we know when we work with horses what they do for us as a human. Like, they just make us be able to move forward because they're so stunning and they're non-judgmental and they don't lie and they're just so phenomenal. So that it was great to finally find this business so that I can actually use it as write-offs now.
Yeah, that's the good side of things too.
You bet. Okay, so what the heck is equine assisted learning? So I think that's the biggest thing in understanding what is it. And that literally is equine horse literally assisting in the learning. So the number one thing we know, and hopefully we're all knowing the more you follow us, is the number one thing a horse needs to feel is safe. When we can get our horses to feel safe, and that's by understanding their culture and their language, not putting the human stuff on them and not thinking they think like us, because a horse will never think, act, or respond like a human. They can only think, act, and respond like a horse. So we have to go to their world to be able to understand that. So it's literally when we are working with our exercises that are already pre-designed for you, always have a beginning, a middle, and an end with a result, with that predictable outcome, to allow you to parallel and allow the humans to parallel how they bring it into their own lives. That's the power of the equine assisted learning. So when our horse is not feeling safe, for an example, we as trained facilitators have the ability to do a step in to say, what do you think Brandon, our horse, is trying to tell us right now?
Why is he reacting the way he's reacting?
Exactly. This gives the human now the ability, because we will always come back. What's the number one thing Brandon needs to feel? They're going to tell us safe. So what does Brandon need from us right now in order to be able to move forward or to back up or whatever it is that we're doing in the arena with these so much fun programs that are already pre-designed?
Maybe we should back up there a spec too, just for what it logistically looks like when people are attending an equine assisted form of equine assisted learning program. So essentially we have the arena set up with a bunch of obstacles within it that have something to do with an objective for that day. And our facilitation also would have something to do with that same objective for that day. So people are working on the ground, no riding the teachers, no riding the teachers with the horses, generally in a team. So it's usually two people and a horse, and they are going through these obstacles together. Now, depending if it's the objective of communication that day, say, that's what we're going to hit. And we know we're going to hit it, and we know we're going to be able to take that piece and parallel it back to how they are going to use that skill in everyday life. But as they're going through an obstacle, they might find, well, maybe they're not communicating. And all of a sudden some frustrations are happening, or people are confused.
And the humans aren't saying it, you see, because
exactly.
That's where the horse now is going to respond.
And that's when our horse does something, the head goes up. There's a swish of the tail. There's things going on with our horse that us as facilitators can come in, draw attention to, and start asking those questions to be able to get people to understand what might be happening in their communication or not happening in their communication, make the adjustment, see the change in the horse, and then move forward. So that's kind of like on a logistic basis what it looks like. Now that's just our form too, not all, and we'll get into this, but not EAL,
Not all equine assisted learning certifications are set up or designed the same way ours is.
I appreciate that you did that for me.
You're welcome. And I like to say equine assisted learning because the acronym EAL is really, I know it is an acronym for equine assisted learning, but if you Google searched it, EAL is actually a second language, which is English. Yeah, English is a second. English. So maybe I still need that.
You're doing a bang up job,
right?
Our EAL today.
Yes, exactly. So that's the power piece in, again, allowing the horse to literally be the teacher, I think is one of the toughest pieces to learn in the certification, because we as humans, and I'm only speaking for myself as a woman and as a mother, sometimes what we like to do is enable humans. Sometimes we want to teach them. We want to tell them the things that they should and shouldn't be doing, where now you really got to be able to step back and trust your horse enough to understand that you know what he's saying, to have those amazing step-ins so that the human literally has the ability to make the change for themselves. We're not telling them that they have to do it a certain way. Mm-hmm. They're already trained, and because our first program we ever take, all humans who enter the Equine Connection facility, they all go through orientation, through that safety piece, how a horse is actually going to talk to them. So they're all ready, got the foundation set up as they're running through their programs. And then our clients come once a week. So we work with the Calgary Dream Center. They come every Wednesday. Oh, today.
Yep.
They come every Wednesday from 2 to 3:30 p.m. and they learn a new skill every single time. So we always start with the foundation, then we bring in another skill, and then we bring that foundation piece into that new skill. And then the next week is another new skill. So you see, you keep on building those skills as you are going, and they get to understand the horses more in how they're teaching as well. But I tell you, as humans, especially when we've learned horsemanship the old-fashioned way, it's most difficult to do that just switch around. That's why it's so important. The continuous training and support always happens in this industry.
And it's never like us as parents or people all do this, are trying to enable others. We're trying to help them. Like we understand that. Not everybody's walking around as enablers, right? But at the same token, when you get that feel of watching somebody make a change for themselves of their own volition, to see the outcome change, there's, oh my gosh, there's just nothing better with that. And granted, there are going to be times that, well, not in a facilitation role necessarily, but like as a family role, as a mom, there are going to be times, no, this is how things are now, right? But as a facilitation piece, there's nothing better than watching people become empowered and figuring out something for themselves and seeing how the outcome changes by that little bit of a behavioral change. And that's where that application piece comes into their everyday life, because experiential learning, huge. And that's all of this is.
That's all equine assisted learning is. It's just the humans are not the piece that is helping the humans move forward. It's literally the horses.
That's right. Not that dog.
No, sorry about that. This is a screen behind here.
Yeah.
So the dogs are outside, but
don't matter. She's standing right beneath us to just get that little bit of a bark in.
Welcome to the farm life.
Yeah. So are all EAL courses and everything out there and programs the same? Short answer, no. They are not all the same at all. So there are different, equine assisted learning is a pretty big umbrella as a total. So hippotherapy, therapeutic riding falls into that. Mental health is so equine assisted therapy, working with a registered therapist or counselor. Notice my strenuous piece on that.
That's a key.
Yeah,
because with our certification, we don't need to have a clinical professional. But if you're going therapy, you need that. Dealing with a human psyche, you better be degreed by cracky. That's
right. And if any one of you want to hear a soapbox on this, just go back to some of our other videos, because we've gone through it many, many times. But if you're saying you're therapy, you better be a therapist or have some sort of mental health background, something that you can actually do that piece with. This one is skills development. So all of these still fall under, though, the equine assisted umbrella. So anytime there's been a horse working with a human being, it kind of falls under equine assisted learning. So programs. Yeah. Dog's really throwing me off.
Yeah. Stay focused. These are our clients right here. Our tribe, our peeps. Our peeps, if you will.
Yeah. Our peeps will forgive the dog. That's fine. So with all of these different kinds, what makes the one that we are working with different is, first of all, it's skill development. So that is a big difference from a lot of other programming out there, because we can actually guarantee an outcome of a skill that people are going to take away and parallel back to their lives. And it can parallel, you never know what that's going to look like. Somebody might come back and be like, oh, I figured out I really need to clean my room. And we're like, okay, sounds profound. But then for them, that was cleaning out the old and starting fresh into a brand new life free of addiction. That's a little bit more profound, right? So it definitely is a piece that you can actually apply what the learning is. There's a specific structure to everything that we do as a program as well. So it's not just going out to hang out with horses and see what happens. This one has a guaranteed outcome, as I said, and there's a structure that comes to every single one as well.
I think we should let them know how this certification actually came about. It was through our beautiful Tamara McKinnon, who actually has a brain that will blow your brain away, because it's so analytical and everything's got to be systematically correct in how you come out with an outcome. So what she did is, she still believes to this day, her purpose on earth was to come in, create and design all of these exercises and programs and the certification course, and then go bye-bye. like we still see her once a year, but she's not literally doing it anymore. But what she did was she took all the research on how do humans actually learn. So she took that research, and then she took the research on how do wild horses actually communicate, like their culture, their language, so we're not missing something. Then she married the two research pieces together to come up with these out of the box, creative, result oriented exercises and programs for humans to be able to go through. Well, again, being with the horse on the ground, no riding the teacher, and allowing the horse to literally be the teacher, but we experts knowing when it's time to do our step-ins to help the human to keep the horse safe, but in parallel, it keeps them safe for their own life. Because we work with a lot of addiction centers. So it's really important that everything that we do does have a way to go to their life.
And it blows my mind every single program we have about how it applies. This many years later, it's still like they'll say something, I'm like, wow, that's amazing.
Even,
I love it.
One thing that we say, well, I say these words. Carolyn has her own special words when she's saying her own special words. But for example, of course, when our clients are coming in, most of the people we work with are non-horse people, which would make sense. So we work with organizations that already have programs all set up for people with addictions or whatever your organization is you're working for. So we're just part of their programming to support everything that they're learning at the center. But the one thing when they're first coming in, of course, you got the fears, you got those anxieties, because these are huge animals. Even your minis are a huge animal to them because they're bigger than a dog and a cat. So they have a lot of those fear pieces that are coming through. So as they're building their way up through learning and feeling safe and helping that horse to stay safe, lots of times what humans will do is they don't look where they're going in their life. So they're always looking down on the ground, or they keep looking back at the horse. Well, again, we know as horse people, the number one thing a horse needs to feel is safe. If we're continually looking back, well, what does that tell our horse in leadership? It tells them we don't know where we're going, right? So lots of times what I'll say to our clients is, where are you going in life? Carolyn, where's your eyes? Where are you going in life? And it's so cool because then as we're going in the arena and they're going through all these obstacles, you can catch it to say, hey, Carolyn, where's those eyes? Oh, yeah, right. So it's like they adjust themselves to understand and think about what that means to their life. If you know where you're going in life, your body automatically steps into life. If you're looking down, if you're looking backwards, you don't go anywhere. So the clients, they refer to this a lot when we are doing our debriefing part of our programs. They always say, oh my gosh, I didn't know that I didn't know where I was going in my life. But now I understand through the horse that I have to know where I'm going in order for me to stay safe and anything else that comes into their life. So it's pretty powerful, even in the first program.
It really, excuse me, it really is. And I think there's something even for any of you watching today. Next time you go for a walk somewhere, pay attention to what are your eyes looking at? Are you actually looking where you're going? Right? Or are you looking down at the ground? And I've said to lots of people, but I used to look at the ground all the time because I thought because I'm clumsy.
We'll save you.
Yeah. So I thought that was going to help me to know what was coming. Turns out every time I looked and I fall over a crack in the sidewalk or something like that, it's because I gave that power. Well, what am I doing? What's the power and what's on the ground? Trust your feet, move forward, shoulders back. There's a lot to do with body language in that. And you can see the participants adjust and change and have a different sense of outlook and that sort of thing, even as they are just doing that itty bitty little change there as well. So Mike says the parallels to the body shop are just amazing. That's his business. It's true. It parallels back to everything.
It does.
Jen, we got some hearts, anxiety zappers. I love that, Kristen.
Yes.
That's so true. And Dana, thanks for the info. You have to, oh my goodness, teeth appointments, but teeth appointments are important. So you can come back and watch later, Dana.
Cool. Oh yeah, that's right. Because it's recorded.
Yeah.
So that's a bonus.
Absolutely. There was something.
So there was, here's a story in understanding the huge piece and why we are not the teachers to this certification, because it really has to come from the horse in order for us to be able to do a step in. So we get a lot of people who've been certified in other certifications, but then they didn't know what to do with their certification. So lots of times they end up coming here. So this one lady, she was telling me this story, and this is to me a perfect example of how we have no right as a human to tell another human what a horse is literally saying.
Yeah.
Okay. So she was at the certification. She was working with a horse and she was off lead line. And so she's with the horse doing her thing. What happened is she said, I was there for quite a while with the horse. And I thought, for me, my brain was saying, I kind of closed the chapter on what it was I was doing with this horse. The horse walks away. I'm feeling really great about it. Like, I feel like I really did something powerful. Then the facilitator comes over and says to this lady, do you want me to tell you what the horse is saying? Now, if I were that person, if anybody can read minds like that, you give it to me. I want to hear it, because I know nobody can.
Yeah.
See, I know there's no human on this earth who can do that. There's no possible way, right?
And not inhuman, just no.
Yeah, exactly. So anywho, the lady says yes. She goes, well, what that horse is trying to tell you is you have too much baggage in your life and you have to clear it up. Now, can you imagine there's a human feeling really good about what she's just accomplished with a horse off lead and the horse wanting to stay with her. And when she felt it was completed, closed the book, the horse just walks away nice and slow. Like it's like, okay, done, period, exclamation mark, whatever it is. But then the human now wants this human to think differently, to say, oh, that's what this horse is saying. See, there's a danger.
Totally wrecked that moment for that woman.
Absolutely. Definitely a danger piece to that, because we don't want to be the human who's telling them, this is what this horse is telling you. No,
we can't.
Let's understand the culture and the language of the horse in order for us to step in to allow that human to come up with their explanation. And here's a perfect example too. We step in because the horse is telling us something. So I step in and I say, so what do you think that Brandon is needing from us right now? I always say us. I never pinpoint it to a you or a them or whatever. I find it easier for facilitating. What do you think Brandon's needing from us right now? And let's say Carolyn here says he needs love. Because you hear this a lot, because what are they doing? They keep patting the horse. And I'll say, okay, so let's take a look at that for a moment. What's the number one thing a horse needs to feel? They're going to tell me safe. And I'll say, exactly. So if this horse is stuck and he's not moving forward, what needs to happen in order for him to move forward? Carolyn might tell me all kinds of things, like whatever. But you know, the number one thing that's happening is we're now communicating. So there's going to be a change in the horse. I'm going to help Carolyn to understand, because of the safety piece, what is it that this horse really needs? The other question I will ask them is, does this horse need love? Because we know that horses can only react from the stimulus from us humans. Is it the horse that's needing love? Or do you think it might be one of us? And guess what your client usually says? Carolyn would say, it's me. I need the love. But you see, now you need to help them to be able to move forward, even with them saying exactly what it is that they need. Carolyn just needs love at that moment. There's nothing wrong with taking the time to allow her to do the thing. But if we've asked a horse to move forward, and then Carolyn goes back and keeps patting the horse because she thinks it's all about love. You see, that's a no-no. And we all know that in horse world, because a horse can only think, act, and respond like a horse. I move a horse. He doesn't move. I say, oh, thanks for not listening to me. So we want to help Carolyn to understand that in her own life, working with humans, and I wouldn't say it this way, but if you are not understanding that the horse is actually needing you to take that leadership and how a horse thinks, you see, you're applying it to your own life. So the love piece can transpire. Absolutely. But it can't happen if a human has tried to move a horse forward or back up a horse, and then you pat and love on them, because now you're teaching your horse you know, that equine behavior, that it's okay to do that when it's not okay to do that, because we know, because we're horse people.
And you think about how cool that parallel is, even for like one of our women's workshops. I remember we had this kind of thing going on, and I had asked her, is love reciprocal? She said, yes. I said, so you can just love bomb the crap out of somebody and it's going to make them love you back? And she was like, well, no. Okay, so what is the difference? What do they need to be able to, like, what's the definition of love in this instance? What's going to show you that? Well, he'll come with me. Okay, so what do you need to do so that he feels that he can? And that's when it just kind of turned on the light bulb. Oh my gosh, I need to have a boundary. I need to be a leader in my own life here and move forward so he wants to come with me, versus, oh, I love you, please, 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 please come with me, right? Because it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way with people either.
No.
Right.
No,
so that was a big one for her. I remember that too. But those horses, without actually listening to what a horse is saying and being able to bring some things in for people to think about, we've kind of gotten nowhere. But when we say human words on a horse, that's not going to help people any, because we don't know what the person's thinking or where they're at. And we can never know that piece. So they will always have a better idea of what the horse is trying to tell them than we will.
Yeah.
Because they're in themselves.
Exactly. And again, with our certification, all of the humans go through this in that foundational first exercise of the orientation and understanding how a horse actually works in their brain, in their heart, and all the stimulus that comes to them. So they're in continuous training and understanding it, because that allows us as humans to make a change, whether it be on the actual body language or intention in our thought and feel. Because if you say, I can't do this, well, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
So how do we change that intention so the horse can follow that leader, knowing that you can move forward or you can do it this way, right? Because sometimes it's just a different direction. Yeah.
Wow.
Pretty powerful.
It amazes me always when we start talking about this, how I look at the time and half an hour goes by and we just,
That's
but
what
we
did.
actually, I'm so
We
proud
covered
of this.
everything?
We hit everything on our list that we were going to talk about today.
And please, if you have any other questions, like definitely
ahead.
email us. Carolyn loves to chat on the phone too.
I do.
And sometimes people, you know, we've forgotten that chatty piece, because it's so nice, even if you already have a facility that you have maybe even riding lessons, it's such a beautiful way to bring an added business piece into your already successful facility. Or again, we've had people who are foster parents and they have a farm and they have their horses and they just want to bring something more, well, I guess not even more, but something
application
strong to helping, you know, even those foster kids to be able to move forward. This applies to really anyone who really wants to work with horses, but really understanding who that horse is. And that's why the certification is so great, because we continually go over it.
The one other thing we could mention is who can benefit from equine assisted learning programs like this with that outcome and building skills. Everyone. Right. So you can't go out in the world and say, I'm going to help everybody, because that's not how that's going to work. Right. You have to have target markets, and we help you with all that too. But there's not a single group of people or single person that cannot afford to build a new skill or to strengthen a skill for a day.
Nope.
For a lifetime, really, is what it is. And it's building that all the time.
And I think the only thing with our certification is you really need to be the cognitive age of 8 and up. And that's through the research that's provided as well. Like there's a specific reason why we can't just go super young.
Yeah.
Because they really do have to have that ability. So yeah, it's very, very exciting. So definitely, if you are interested in any of this, and we have our last course of the year where we're doing a virtual live Zoom to Zoom.
Well, yeah.
Oh yeah,
like
Zoom,
this,
Zoom.
but we can see you too.
Yeah, where you get to, we get to see your face, you get to ask questions, and it's beautiful because this one we're doing on a weekend. We've never done that in our entire career of equine certification. So it's on a weekend. It goes from Friday, November 18th to Monday, November the 21st. But then you get all your business training from the comfort of your own home, which is beautiful, because then you can keep pressing rewind. What'd she say? Plus, then you get your 3-day hands-on in-person training, where you either come to our facility or you come to our numerous other facilities that we have for training, where you literally get to work with the horses and the exercises and the exercises and the horses and the horses and the exercises, because you have to see, feel, and experience what your clients are going to be feeling. And of course, it's continuous. 24/7 support,
Yeah.
really, because we have a global team that we're all in this together. So we're always in our platform that allows us to connect with each other globally, even at different times.
And even when we're sleeping, the Aussies are up. So it
Yeah.
all works out.
It's perfect.
Jen, yay, I can't wait. We're
Oh, you're going to love it, Jan. Woo!
Yeah,
Just a few more days.
Melissa's throwing us thumbs up too. I love that. Beautiful, beautiful. So hopefully that gave you a quick rundown of what our form of equine assisted learning is. As we said, there's many out there, but the one thing that I always like, if you are looking into these programs, check in on how the horse factors in. Because if there is a program out there that is using horses versus working with horses as partners, that's a very, very different piece and can add a liability and safety element to your program that is not ideal. So if you are looking into different equine assisted learning programs or certifications, please ensure that that is something that you are looking into, and that should be at the forefront of your mind, because if the horses are not taken care of and safe, and the full welfare, not just feet and teeth,
not just health,
everything is taken care of, then that is a liability.
It really is. And then your clients are not safe. This is what I love this course so much. And of course, we're with you for the lifetime of your career. So hopefully, if you do choose us, you really like us, because you can divorce us, but we don't divorce you. So we have had facilitators with us since we've started this. Like, it's a continuum of how we continually move forward together. And Melissa, you're Australia too, aren't you? So that's kind of exciting. We got New Zealand and Australia on here.
And what time is it there now? I
don't know.
Are you guys up late?
Yeah, I think they are.
Marie, what facilities, what countries? So in the US next year, we have Salisbury, Massachusetts, and we've got Las Cruces, New Mexico booked in. And then in Australia, we've got the Sydney, and she goes to,
I think it's Brisbane, but I'm not positive. I feel that's it, because I don't think it's Melbourne. She's there right now doing a trade show.
Yes.
So if any of you are in the Melbourne area, go take a look at Jane. And then we have, Canada, USA, and Australia. Jane just came back from New Zealand from a training. And I think for our facilitator, our instructor, Jane, she's also planning on traveling other European countries as well.
Yes,
eventually.
And is she doing
Germany?
She is doing New Zealand next year too.
I don't think so. No, that's not true.
And then, of course, we've got our Calgary, Alberta, Canada location, which is where we're at, as well as our Woodstock, Ontario location. So those are all of our hands-on locations.
Oh, it's 9 a.m. on Thursday.
I'm not sure if you guys saw my squinty face. That's my thinking face.
Interesting.
But
okay.
I thought
we get so confused with the time. We do.
But they're off of Jane's time too.
Yeah.
And then we just had daylight savings. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
That doesn't help me a lot, actually. No. That still really throws me off. I'm going to have to look that up after, but we'll gain that knowledge later.
and for those of you who are far away, who cannot do the 4-day certification now on our last one, we've actually changed up all of the courses. So after November 18th course, actually, everything is done in a very different format. So you might want to check out our website. It's very exciting because we have an exclusive 4-part certification. We have a combo in-person certification for Canada and the US, but the exclusive is anywhere in the world. Mm-hmm. And we have the unique 2-part course as well. And that's anywhere in the world as well.
Yeah. So we've got a few new things coming down the pipe, and I'm sure we will do a live on breaking all those suckers out for you as well.
Exactly. Go tell your horse how much you appreciate who it is that they are. Watch, wait, listen, so that you can see how that horse is going to respond back to you. It's so exciting when we're not in a rush. We're not in a panic. Remember, horses aren't speaking our language. So that's the one thing they don't know the English, the French, the Spanish. That's not what they know. They know how our thought and our feel and that stimulus are going to the horse. That is how they know. We should actually do a live on the what we bring into orientation as well with the emotions.
Oh, that's true.
Not the emotions.
No, I know what you meant though.
The you can't think of it? I'm like, wow.
No, it's
the stimulus that happens inside a human body. So it's the stimulus that's in our human body that goes to our horse, but it's actually been researched So we actually have an actual visual so that people can see when you're in anger or if you're in happiness.
Physiological reactions within our body to
Yeah.
different emotions. That's the word I was stuck
Yeah,
on.
and
is the
she-
physiological.
She always does that
Yeah.
part. So I'm like, I
Yeah.
don't understand what you waiting for
No,
there.
I don't know. I was caught on the stimulus part, but I was like, that's not the word. It's physiological.
Okay.
But we're
Any
there
hoodle.
now.
Now we digress again and we
Again.
talk too much.
Yeah.
But thank you all so much for joining us. Remember, you are a life changer. I don't know what she's doing. Okay, so
I'm so
Carolyn
hot
will
right
end
now.
this off.
So yes, I will. You are an absolute life changer. Keep spreading that kindness around and make sure that you are always going out to thank your horse, just like Carrie said, because they are the true foundation to everything that we do in equine assisted learning. And we always have to keep their welfare in the best and highest of regard, because without them, we don't have anything to work with, really. They are the key to everything that we do and how we love to keep doing it and helping people while working with horses.
The most purposeful job, I swear, on earth.
Yes,
Love it.
Absolutely is. So we're
Okay.
going to go now before I stop talking.
Days
anymore.
again. Like, I don't know where she's going to.
Very hot right now. All right.
Okay.
Have a great
Bye,
week, everybody.
everyone.